Okay, welcome to week 14. You are almost done. Good job. So this week we study the crisis of authority, chapter 29. Also, so you have an assignment at the end of chapter 29. Also, you have a quiz this week that I will have live by Wednesday evening, and you can take it, just anytime before Sunday. And then also this week in chapter 29, we just see a lot of social unrest. Everybody wants rights, and everybody should have rights. This country should not differentiate. So we see Cesar Chavez with the Farm Workers Union, with the United Farm Workers. We see Rachel Carson coming on with her book, Silent Spring, which really sparks the environmentalism movement, the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency. That's a huge powerhouse today. We see feminism really on the forefront, and we see our government in a little bit of crisis. Richard Nixon, he was a lawyer from California. He had served in the Pacific in World War II. He rose to be a Navy lieutenant. He had a great capacity for leadership. He had served in the House of Representatives for California. He had served in the Senate. And then he becomes our president, and he really makes moves internationally. Here he is pictured with Mao. Nixon had a visit to China, an 8-day visit. He was the first U.S. president to visit China since China had become a republic, the People's Republic of China, in 1949. Mao was its leader. Mao was its founder. Mao had grown up on a farm, his father's farm. It was attacked by peasants during a famine. They stole all of the family's grain. This had a lasting impact on Mao. Henry Kissinger, a powerhouse for diplomacy, he and Nixon had a 3-person meeting with Mao when they went to China. So it was Nixon, Kissinger, and Mao, the three of them, alone in a room. That doesn't happen really anymore. And Henry Kissinger was the first foreign-born Secretary of State, and he also served as Nixon's national security advisor. So for a while, he had a dual role. He made 213 foreign country visits while he was Secretary of State. He really wanted peace everywhere. He was a German-born Jew who had immigrated to this country with his family to avoid Nazi persecution, and he really was just a phenomenal champion for peace. Okay, then Nixon goes a little nuts, even before Watergate. So in 1971, in an effort to rescue the economy, and some think in an effort to win re-election, going off of James Carville's strategy with Clinton, it's the economy stupid, Nixon institutes the first wage and price controls during time of peace. So, which we weren't really at peace. We did have Vietnam going on, but we never formally declared war in Vietnam. Congress circumvented the Constitution's prescription for how we formally declare war, because we didn't want to formally declare war. So we were considered at the time to be a nation at peace. And so Thomas Sowell is a phenomenal economist, and he says that Nixon instituted these wage and price supports to manipulate the economy so the economy would be strong in 1972 when Nixon ran for re-election. But he said it was just a horrible outcome, and that it had disastrous effects, including an effect that was blamed on OPEC. So Nixon's wage and price controls led to a huge demand because prices were low, but the demand could not be met. So we had empty shelves, or in other cases, we had overproduction, and we had a fuel shortage. But Nixon blamed it on OPEC, which is the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, and they learned in 1973 that the oil could be weaponized. They could manipulate the supply. That in turn manipulated the price. Oil could be weaponized. And so then also we have Watergate. And I'm trying to wrap this up quickly, so I'll post these slides with my announcement. But Daniel Ellsberg is a huge player in Nixon's downfall. So he worked for a think tank named RAND. It was a nonprofit think tank, and they had been assigned to work on a secret study of the history of Vietnam. Their study produced a 7,000-page document titled The Pentagon Papers. Daniel Ellsberg leaked the Pentagon Papers to the New York Times and eventually other newspapers because he felt that the country needed to know what was going on in Vietnam. And it led to a Supreme Court case. And it was the New York Times versus the United States, where the Supreme Court upheld the First Amendment right to the press. And then it led to Watergate. Nixon wanted to make sure there were no more leaks ever in his government. So I'll post these slides if you want a little more in-depth about these topics. Remember your assignment and your quiz. Have a wonderful week. You're almost done. Good job.